9 times the amount because they just issued 10. You can't be swiping. Oh my goodness, look at this camera. Oh, I've got a $10,000 credit card. It costs $7,000. Let me go ahead and buy it with my credit card. Can't do stupid stuff like that. The Julito Corp wants $300,000 from the bank. Hi, bank, can I have $300,000? And then 6 months pass by. Hey, Julito Corp, what happened with the 300K? Julito Corp, what happened? Julito Corp, Julito has gone bad. Bye, Julito. Then you walk to the trunk of your car and you pull out Juanita Corp. Let's get Juanita some money. Hey, bank. Yeah. Can you give Juanita Corp some money? Juanita has never done nothing bad. She wants $500,000. Juanita? But what about Julito? I have nothing to do with Julito. Juanita Corp, she never did nothing bad. Give her some money. You speak Latin. Come on in here. Juanita has gone bad. Bye, Juanita. And you go to the back of your trunk and you pull out Mariposita Corp. Mariposita Corp goes to the bank, bonded. Hey, bank, what's going on? Can we help you? You're not getting any of our money. I think you should leave. You should leave. Why is the bank still giving money? I mean, quote unquote, they're losing money, but why are they issuing you more money? So the answer to that question is... All right. So let's get straight to the point. We're going to talk about the secrets. The secrets on securing $200,000, $500,000, 1.5 million, and even millions and billions. So we're going to get stuck at the banks at 1.5 million. I say stuck because people think that $300,000, oh, that's game. Oh, that's the source. Let me give you some source. Make sure you freeze your TransUnion because that's the source. You get your credit union here, and then you get your business line of credit here, and 300, and that's not it. So I'm going to give you a lot of value tonight. Everything I tell you, you're going to see by the end of this video, and by the middle of the video, you take notes. Everything I tell you, most of the stuff I tell you is from the United States Congress. U.S.A. Money and Finance, Title 31, Volume 1 and 2. That means the book. There's 2 books for that. Volume 1 and 2. There's actually multiple books, but the ones I talk to you about is Congress. So don't argue with me just because I don't have 300 million followers. Argue with Congress, okay? My name is Baruch, and this is... All right, so there's 3 levels to this. There's 3 levels to this, and on each level, there's even more 3 levels. So for level 1 is credit. So write that down. Your first level is credit. That's level 1. Then you've got level 2, your corporation. Then you've got level 3, which is optional. You can do a fund. You ever watched Kevin O'Leary or Mr. Wonderful? You ever watch Mark Cuban on Shark Tank? You've ever watched these folks that come on Shark Tank, and for instance, this guy, the real estate guy, I forget his name. And when we talk about a fund is the highest level. So again, these guys from Shark Tank and these guys that do real estate, like for instance, big guy Ben Mala. You guys see him on YouTube. You might have seen him. The big guy Ben Mala, real estate. You got Grant Cardone. Let me ask you a question, folks. Why isn't not one of them telling you and sitting down with them? Why is not Apple or Microsoft doing what I'm doing, sitting down and saying, you know what, this is how to get the millions. This is how to get the billions. What they're doing is they're building fund. They're building a fund. Now that's it. That's the end of the video. You can go ahead and go watch your Netflix. For the folks that want a deeper understanding of what the heck a fund is, I want to bring that down tonight. Now, tonight, tomorrow, the morning, afternoon, whatever time you're watching this video. So they're building funds. They're using other people's money. They're using other people's ideas for themselves to get wealthy. Something with that number 3. 3 3 3s everywhere. So Credit Corp Fund. Now you want millions of dollars. You want to build a fund. You want forget the banks, because when you build a fund, the banks got nothing to do with this. All right. Now, when you build a fund, there's three things you need. You need a pitch deck. There's something called a pitch deck. I want you to Google that. I want you to download a free template from canva.com. You know Canva. Most of you know canva.com. Download a free template of a pitch deck. Okay? So number two, in order to do a fund, you need a corporation. Just because you got a pretty face, just because you've got a status on the internet, and you've got 3 million souls that have clicked on follow and give you likes, that does not mean that investors are going to give you. That does not mean that investors are going to give you money or capital. So in other words, step number two, to build a fund, you need you're going to need a corporation. Now, specifically, what type of corporation? I mean, Jolly Ranchers, what type of corporation, right? We've got LLCs, we've got S corps, we've got nonprofit, we've got foundations, then we got C corps. So what you want to get is a C corporation, and preferably an aged C corporation. See, now did I have I said anything about $300,000 and $100,000 line of credit, and that's game? Did I say that? Did I say $25,000 from Citibank? Did I say, oh, you could get with one hard inquiry, you could get two financial products, one. Let me stop. All right, there's enough hate. There's enough hate going on, hate nation, but I'm just trying to make these videos here. You can look in the channel, because this information, this is private equity. See, private equity, they don't have a face. They're not on social media. I'm one of the few that's breaking the rules. So there's another gentleman out there who's breaking the rules, But I'm putting this stuff out in Spanish and in English. Eventually, I'll beat him. Us men, we've got to compete against other men, right? We're lions. In any case, for a fund, remember, we need, we're going to need, you should be writing this down, by the way. You need a pitch deck, you need a C corporation, I didn't say an LLC. Oh, I got my LLC from legal, who. I got my LLC from Inc. filing, right? You're going to need a C corporation. Number three, what investors want to know in order to build a fund, in order to invest on your idea. The pitch deck is your project. The pitch deck is your idea, is your proposal. It's more than a proposal. It's your idea. What's the story? I said, what's the story, with an accent. From New York, by the way. In any case, number three is who has experience? I mean, you want to build this store, you want to build this idea, pitch deck, and you want to get funded via a corporation, C Corp, but who has experience? I mean, do you have experience in building, let's talk about an idea. Do you have the experience on building a 700 door of apartment complex? Do you have experience building 3,000 houses for a community? You want to build 3,000 houses in a community. You're not gonna go to the bank. You build a fund. It's called private equity. Yeah, and I'm gonna teach you a lot tonight. It's gonna be a long video, and if you want a 30-second video, would give me a like and a comment so you can share about my validation of convictions. You are mistaken, friend. I don't care about comments or likes. I'm here to teach you, because if I can do it, you can do it. And I want you to succeed. I'm not here to talk about myself. Let's dig in. So that's level 3 of fund. Let's go back to credit for a bit. So when it comes to credit, so Credit Corp Fund, anything I say is from my perspective, from my opinion. Prosperity Restoration Battalion Enterprises Capital Corp. I'm not a financial advisor. I am not a finder. I'm not an attorney. If you need any of those persons or anyone I bring to speak as a guest, we are not professionals. Seek those professionals wherever you can. All right. Everything I speak and everything I say is from my perspective and my opinion. Now, let's talk about getting the money. So let's talk about for about 5 minutes of what you know. What assuming you know. You know that once your credit is good, we've got Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. That's on a personal level. But do you know the 5 business bureaus? Because there's three personal bureaus: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Personal. I said personal. Now everybody seems to know that, but what about the 5 business bureaus nobody talks about? So let's step away from the personal. Let's go to the business. There's 5 business bureaus. Number 1, I want you to write this down. I told you got to write this down. Number 1 is going to be Experian. Experian pops up again. So this is Experian Business. The second bureau is Equifax Business. TransUnion is out of the picture here. Thank God TransUnion is not in the business area. Thank God. Experian, one less to worry about. Experian Business. Equifax Business. Number 3, the Small Business Financial Exchange. Now I'm going to tell you what each of them deal with in about 2 minutes, but you've got to bear with me. Don't rush me now. SB, Small Business Financial Exchange. SBFE for short, for abbreviation. Small Business Financial Exchange. Then we've got PayNet. And then we've got Dun and Bradstreet. Now I've heard from some people that it's not Duns and Bradstreet, and I've heard some other people say Dun and Bradstreet. I really don't care, but I mean, if you really want to know the actual, with my knowledge, it's done without the S. Anyways, so 5 business bureaus, Experian and Equifax. We're gonna pull them together. Boom. So Experian and Equifax. Let's deal with those 2 first. Experian and Equifax are gonna report information on your business. I said Experian and Equifax are going to report information on your business when it comes about credit cards and business lines of credit. That's it. All right, go be on your way. Go watch Netflix now. Now, let me ask you a question. If we talk about the personal business, which are these 3, you open up an Experian account, a free Experian account, and you can watch Experian. But if you open up a premium account with Experian.com in the personal level, you for $35.99 or $29.99, whatever it is, for the personal level, I'll be back in the business in a minute. You can see for $32 or $35.99 the 3 business bureaus on Experian.com. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Now, on the business level, in order to see the 5 business bureaus, you're going to have to invest some money. It's the cost of doing business. So the cost of doing business in the business area is Experian Business. You're going to have to invest $189.99, so about $190, $189.99 per year, which is pretty good. No monthly membership, so it's a year. It's a year worth of wages. How my folks used to say in New York, year worth of wages, Baruch. Anyways, $189 with 99 cents, and that subscription with Experian Business. Talking about business, that subscription is going to cover Experian Business, Equifax Business, Small Business Financial Exchange, PayNet, and Dun & Bradstreet. Now, I told you that Experian and Equifax Business deal with credit cards and business lines of credit. Let's move to number 3. Write it down. Small Business Financial Exchange is banks talking to banks. And what does that mean, Baruch? You gotta be a little bit more specific. Now, I'm a noob here. I'm a rookie. I'm a noob. How the young people say, I'm a noob. What does that mean? Banks talking to banks, Peru. Be more detailed, will ya? Well, sure, but don't scream at me. Small business financial exchange rate and term. What's the rate? What's the term? So the Americans invented more vocabulary so the common people can get more confused. Now wake up because I'm about to make it very simple. Rate and term when it comes to small business financial exchange means loans, installment loans to be more exact. So in other words, what's the rate? What's the interest? What's the term? What are the monthly? What are the month? What's the month? How many months? Meaning, like, when does it end? Term, end. Stuff from Latin, right? What is the rate? Well, the rate is on this installment loan. On this loan of $35,000 for their business, the rate is 6.99% rate interest. And then they'll come and say, well, and the terms are 84 months. That's what that means. So small business financial exchange is rate and term. Let's move to number 4. Number 4 is PayNet. So you want to get computers, you want to get keyboards, you want to get phones, you want to get those type of trucks, trailers, cars. You want to get anything that's material, tools. Raise your hand if you did construction for 2 decades in the tri-state area of New York City. Raise your hand if it was a pain in the head and the neck and the spine and the forehead and the fingers and blah, blah. So PayNet is going to report tools, machinery, equipment. Very straightforward. Now, we've got the last one with Dun & Bradstreet. You can go to dunandbradstreet.com and you can issue a number that they give for free. You don't need to pay. You go to Dun & Bradstreet. You've got to do your due diligence. So when you get your C corporation, what you're going to do is you're going to go to dunandbradstreet.com. You're going to click on Give Me My Dun & Bradstreet number. And then that identity number is going to be involved in like they're gonna accredit your business under that field of Dun & Bradstreet. Now, what does you don't have to get these people make money out of everything. So they'll be like, oh, if you want it faster in 7 days, pay $400. You don't need that. Stop it. You don't need that. You get your thing in 30 days, 40 days. It's the same thing. Okay. You get your Dun & Bradstreet number because Dun & Bradstreet is not going to give you $300,000 line of credit. Because I just told you that Experian Business and Equifax Business are the ones that deal with, and if I'm going too fast for you, I apologize, but I'm not scripted. I'm giving you a chronological order of the 5 business bureaus, and I'm going one by one. Now we're at Dun & Bradstreet. But I'm reminding you that if you don't get a Dun & Bradstreet number, you should get one. Yeah, go get one. But Dun & Bradstreet's got nothing to do with $100,000 business line of credit. That's Experian and Equifax. So Dun & Bradstreet, number 5 of the 5 business bureaus. The 5 business bureaus. Now, Dun & Bradstreet is going to deal with gas cards, store cards, right? So in other words, you go to Lowe's and you get a business credit card. Great. You go to 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven is all over the United States of America. 7-Eleven will give you a gas card, right? And so 7-Eleven business credit card will report not just on Dun & Bradstreet, but also in Experian and Equifax. That's a little tip for you there. And you can ask AI and tell them, hey, which credit cards for the business bureaus report on all 3 or on all 5, or on all 4. Pretty good, right? So Dun & Bradstreet, like another example is Home Depot, right? Walmart business. Lowe's, right? I said Lowe's already. Costco, BJ's, right? BJ's. Sam's Club, right? All right, just to name a few. So that's 5 business bureaus right there. Um, all right, so now let's talk about getting the money. You want to get money, right? You want to get some capital. You got this corporation. You need to get a C corp. You're not going to get an LLC. The reason why you don't get an LLC is because it's a limited liability company. It's not a corporation. Now, can you get about $300,000 worth of capital via an LLC? Sure. You sure can. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not. Yeah, you sure can. 100% can. But we see, folks, in life, we need to have what my multi-billion dollar mentor always used to say is, so Baruch, you need to have a micro objective and a macro. He said, we live in a $1 billion society. So millions, that's nothing. So, in other words, an LLC with $300,000 of capital at 0% interest. Okay. I'm not saying it's something bad. Don't get me wrong. 75K is great. Okay, good. But can you really make business? Let me ask you something. Did you know? That's why the internet is so flooded with everything that everyone repeats and talks about. It's like they all learned one thing and then it just exploded on that same thing, 0% interest and business line of credits. That's it. And get business funding and they'll charge you 10, 20, and 15% on the back end for funding. There's more, there's levels. There's levels to wealth. So can you get an LLC? Yeah. Yeah, get funded. Sure. 300K, okay. 50K, 80K, okay. All right. But do you want to get millions and billions? If you don't, then stick with your LLC, no problem. But if you do, you're a lion. You're gonna get the corporate kit, and you're gonna get, which is, I don't sell it, but the corporate kit, I don't sell it, by the way. Don't think that I'm selling anything. I don't sell anything. Just give information for free. You can consult with me though, however, and then I can point you out of the right direction if that's what you want. You get the corporate kit for your C corp, which costs about 125, 128 with taxes. Find it on Amazon, and then you link it to your existing corporation. That way you can raise millions and billions. Okay, that way you can start a fund. Remember a couple of minutes ago I told you about a fund, and I went in deep on the 3 elements of how to build a fund. I told you that in the beginning of the video, right? So you do that with a C corp. You cannot build a fund. You cannot build a fund with a damn LLC, because an LLC is a limited liability company. Raise your hand if you ever drove trucks and it was super. Raise your hand if you drove trucks. Raise your hand if you drove an 18-wheeler with a stick shift of 12 gauges. I think that's how they say it in English, 12 gauges. Right here. Raise your hand if you thought it was super stressful, because the Hondas and the Toyotas don't respect the trailer, the tractor trailers. So in other words, an LLC is for it. Raise your hand if you did construction. Oops, a brick fell down and it hit somebody in the head. Well, yeah, definitely get a lawsuit out of that, Jack. But, I'm limited. I'm protected. I have liability. I'm protected against lawsuits. So you're not going to get a lot. You're going to get limited stuff on the lawsuit. That's why, hence an LLC. Pilots, you know how dangerous it is to drive a jet or a plane, an airplane? Pilots get LLCs. Trucking. All right, so back to the credit. So we're in corporations right now, LLCs. So LLCs, and for that, that's the reason why you don't want to get an LLC unless you're fine with your 200 or 300K, 400K, okay, whatever, that's fine. And you get them in tranches. You don't just go and apply $150,000 right away, right off the gate, or 175. So you've got to be careful. Let me tell you something. You've got to be careful. The people that are doing this thing about funding, most of them, they're greedy, and we're all men. We're all ambitious. We're all ambitious, male and females, right? We humans are ambitious, and what happens is if you go over $150,000 of getting funded via your LLC or your C corp right off the gate, like right up, like so fast, well, the banks are gonna say, "Huh? How come this person is getting so much money so fast?" And they might raise a red flag on you. They could put you on check system. They can put you on they, aside from raising a flag, they can take away credit that has already been issued to you. Now, the reason why somebody would go over $150,000 right off the bat is because they want to charge their 15% fee, and they want their commission. So you've got to be careful. So I just gave you a layer of protection that's worth $10,000-$20,000. Okay, that's how much that's worth. That what I just told you. You've got to be careful with these people that are trying to fund you, charging a 10% or 20% or 15% or 12% on the back end, and they want to go over 150. Ask them this question: Hey, is there a red flag if I get so much money so fast? And if they tell you, "Oh no, it's all good," it's full of crap, and they might not even know. So an LLC, an S corp, and a C corporation. Let's move on. I didn't mean to rant on about that. In order to get the money, we need to have a decent PG. What the heck is a decent PG, Baruch? I mean, you look like you know what you're talking about, Baruch, but sometimes you're using some strong vocabulary that makes my head explode, Baruch. My name is Baruch, by the way. Well, you want to have a decent PG. Now, what PG stands for is, and it took me about 4 months to figure this one out back in the day, because there's some people that just don't know how to explain things. So a PG is a personal grantor, or a personal guarantee, or a personal guarantor, which means you want credit cards, you go to the bank, and you say, "I want credit cards." And the bank says, "Well, give me some taxes. Give me some taxes." And then you come and say, "I'm not giving you any taxes." And now the bank comes and says, "Well, give me some W-2s. Give me some proof that you can pay me back the credit cards." And you answer, "Man, I ain't gonna give you nothing." I'm not going to give you nothing. Now the bank says, "Well, sir or ma'am, how do I know as a bank, how do I know I'm going to get my money back with you? What's the guarantee?" Personal guarantor. Personal guarantor. What's the guarantee? Well, the personal guarantee that you're the guarantee that you're gonna get your money back via the credit card bank is me, because I happen to have good credit. So that's level one. And then they issue you level one. That's level one. That's levels to this thing. So that's level one. Level one means now you apply for credit cards and business lines of credit cards of 0% intro APR. The Americans came in and made it a little bit harder. Again, for the common person to not understand, to leave the dummies down, and the people that are trying to excel slowly go up. So what I'm trying to tell you is, for dummies, intro, they call it low intro APR. So what that means is 0% interest. But what it really means is it's not 0% interest, because there's no such thing as 0% interest. What it is actually 1% interest. That means that if you've got, I know I'm speaking a bit fast, but you've got to bear with me. That means that if you got a credit card from Chase that's $30,000 and you utilize $30,000 right up front, now your monthly payment is 1%. So now you're paying $300 of the $30,000 that you used. Okay, so that's what they call 0% interest. That's level one. And so you pretty much get from 3 or 4 different banks, you get 10 of these cards. They call it credit card stacking. Most of you already know this, but there might be somebody that doesn't know, so you've got to bear with me, right? And so that's that. So another example is if you've got a $50,000 credit card and you use all $50,000 right up front, which you shouldn't do because you're supposed to maintain a 30% utilization of each credit card or business line of credit that you get, or else your score is going to go down. And so if you use $50,000 up front, you're going to pay $500 1%. There's no such thing as 0%. You're paying 1% up front, and then that's that. There's one more thing I wanted to say before I moved on. So a PG, personal guarantor. So a 680 or a 690 credit score gets you in the door, but a 700 credit score opens the door. 700 and up opens the door. So a 680 and a 690. Now, did I say 400? Did I say 650? Did I say 670? So a 680 credit score gets you at the door. You're knocking. You can apply for a couple of things. A 690, you're knocking. A 700 credit score, now you're in the club. A 700 club. Now the door is open for 0% interest on credit cards, okay? And you've got to make sure you don't got, and the only way to get 700 is you've got to make sure that, that there's not a lot of late payments, you don't got collections. I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you value here. You've got bear with me 30 seconds. You've got to make sure you've got no collections, no charge-offs, no charge-off accounts, right? No collections. Try to have at least no more than 1 or 2 late payments during the past 2 years. See, banks care about, people don't tell you this, at least with what I've heard, banks care about the last 2 years of your credit history. The banking industry is an ever-changing industry. And as of the recording of this video, and the many years to come, this is one thing that they most likely will not change. And that is if you've got late payments, if you've got more than two late payments within the last 2 years. So if you got late payment from COVID from 2019, that don't matter. If you got 5 late payments from 2023, and we're 2030 right now, the year 2030, and the 5 late payments are from year 2022 or 2023, that don't matter because the bank only cares about your last 2 years. All right, that's called data points. Another data point is you've got to be below 30% of utilization. That means you can't be swiping. Oh my goodness, look at this camera. Oh, I've got a $10,000 credit card. It costs $7,000. Let me go ahead and buy it with my credit card. Can't do stupid stuff like that. Because the Americans, they figured everything out. They figured out a way to know the mind of the human. And in order for them, I mean, I wouldn't say the mind of the human, but I'm talking about psychologically the way they spend the money. If they have a $10,000 credit card, if they've got a $10,000 credit card, right, and this is $7,000, you cannot go past 30%. Most of you already know that, but there might be somebody that doesn't know that, so bear with me. Yeah, we're gonna get to more value. Okay, so this is the one. This is the value I want to tell you about credit. If you made it this far, you can go online on. Tell you two valuable things. You go to online to download Google um, FTC affidavit. Now, I didn't say FTC report. Did I say FTC report? I said FTC affidavit. You should be writing that down. And then I want you to write down another thing. I want you to write precedent. 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 I lost a lot of spelling bee contests, by the way. I shamed my mother because I went to spelling bee contests and I lost many of them. Anyways, you guys don't care. In any case, so valuable thing, FTC affidavit. An FTC affidavit, you're gonna download that, and you're gonna, to the best of your ability, you're gonna read it. And you know, it's like a 12-page PDF. You can download it off Google for free. And then you take a look at your credit score by yourself, and you can point out and write down via the computer. And if you don't want to use a computer, you can use a paper and a pen, but I'd recommend a computer. And you write down whatever you know that shouldn't be in your credit report. I can't tell you what's on your credit report. I'm not looking at it. I don't know. I don't know you off the top of my head just yet, right? So an FTC affidavit is going to do that. And you want to certified mail that. Once you get it done and filled out, you want to notarize it. You want to notarize it and send it off via certified mail. Right now, certifiid mail is you have to invest. This is the cost of doing business. There's cost of doing business. So you're gonna certified mail that to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, and it doesn't stop there. Now you're gonna certified mail that, and from my perspective and my opinion, everything I say is from my perspective and my opinion. This is not legal advice, but I just want to give you some value from my perspective and my opinion. You're gonna certified mail that to those three, and then you're gonna backdate the date of that letter. And you're gonna put, for instance, if today is, example, July 31st, you're gonna put that you mailed that letter out July 14th in the letter. So from my perspective and my opinion, when you send that out to certified mail, now you go to the CFPB, you make a free account with the CFPB, and you tell them, hey, I sent them this letter 15 days ago, and they have 15 days left because the bureaus have 30 days total. The bureaus have 30 days total to conduct their investigation. So, and I sent them this letter 15 days ago, 14 days ago, and this is the certified mail proof that they got it, and they still haven't done anything. And by the time the CFPB checks the stuff, it takes 2 or 3 days after they actually check it and read it. Usually, the certified mail would already be delivered. So that's a recommendation right there from my perspective, my opinion. And then we've got the other value, precedent. You want to know how to get rid of lots of stuff? You want to ask ChatGPT or DeepSeek or Claude AI. So many AIs out there. But ChatGPT, the free version, that suffices. And then precedent. So what's precedent? Precedent is, well, in 2023, Mr. Ramirez went against Equifax, and Mr. Ramirez won about $1 million in damages and losses. And Equifax had to pay Mr. Ramirez $1 million because of the charge of accounts. Now, this is the precedent. This is the past, and this is the cited story. And Equifax is doing the same thing to me. And you're going to go ahead and get 1 or 2 of those stories. Mr. Ramirez was one of them. Let me give you another one. And you asked ChatGPT this thing, right? And so you find another one, and then you connect the dots and say, well, I've also got a charge off, or I also got a collection. No, not collection. I also got a charge off, and this shouldn't be there. So you do the same thing. You put 14 days on the letter. You certify mail. You've got to invest. Each certified mail letter costs around $5 each, and you're sending it to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Now, if the charge off, needless to say, but I'll say it because there might be some people that don't know, but needless to say, if the charge off account it's only showing on Experian and Equifax, then there's no need to send it to TransUnion certified mail. So that'd be $10. But if the charge off account from Citizens Bank or from Capital One Bank, it's showing on all three bureaus, then sure, $5, $10, $15, or $17 you're gonna have to invest. Backdate the letter 14 days, certified mail it, invest on that, and then upload about 1 or 3 days later. I'll say 2-3 days. Give it 2-3 days. I'll go to the CFPB and upload that and say, hey, I gave them 15 days. They're not taking anything out. And so hopefully by then, well, not hopefully, but that should be enough to get some things removed. And if it doesn't work the first 2 times, well, the worst thing you can do is give up. You can't give up. So then you just do the whole cycle again until the thing gets out, until the charge off account gets off. So there you go. That's how about that for a game, huh? How about that for business? I hate to say it. I hate that word game. So again, 5 business bureaus: Experian Business, Equifax Business, Small Business Financial Exchange, PayNet, and Dun & Bradstreet. They're important because if you want to be in business, you've got to know business roots and business routes. Let's talk about. Let me give you some value. Let's talk about this. So when you get a corporation, let me tell you about. I walk into the bank with Julito Corp, and Julito Corp the Julito Corp wants $300,000 from the bank. Hi, bank, can I have $300,000? Julito Corp is in good standing. Julito Corp has a bond. I'm going to explain about bonds right now. Julito Corp has a bond, and it's been using 30% of utilization. We've been together for about 180 days, for about 6 months. Hi, bank. Can I get $300,000? Now the bank is going to say, so can I get $300,000? Now the bank is going to come and say, sure, you've got a bond active for at least 2 months, and you've kept your utilization at 30%. Julito Corp wants $300,000? Yes. Okay, sure, take the 300. Now you walk out the bank and you go with your $300,000 and you go and invest and do whatever you want, and then 6 months pass by. Hey, Julito Corp, what happened with the 300K? Julito Corp, what happened? And Julito Corp doesn't show up. Now Julito Corp goes back, right? The owner of Julito Corp goes back to the bank and he says, hey, what happened to our $300,000 from Julito Corp? I don't know. Oh no, Julito Corp, Julito has gone bad. Bye, Julito. Then you walk to the trunk of your car and you pull out Juanita Corp. Let's get Juanita some money. Hey, bank. Yeah. Can you give Juanita Corp some money? Juanita has never done nothing bad. She wants $500,000. Juanita? But what about Julito? I have nothing to do with Julito. Juanita Corp, she never did nothing bad. Give her some money. You speak Latin. Come on in here. And now the bank is going to go ahead and give Juanita Corp $500,000. 6 months pass by because you're bonded. Huh? Did I say that? 6 months pass by, and now, oh no, $500,000. What's going on? Juanita has gone bad. Bye, Juanita. And you go to the back of your trunk and you pull out Mariposita Corp. Mariposita Corp goes to the bank, bonded, 30% utilization. It's been about 6 months that it's open. It goes back to the bank and says, hey, bank, what's going on? Can we help you? You're not getting any of our money. I think you should leave. You should leave. And then you go, well, I don't know what happened to Juanita or Julito Corp, but I'm here with Mariposita Corp. Mariposita Corp, nothing bad has happened to her, to the entity. I shouldn't say her. Nothing bad has happened to Juanita Corp. Can Mariposita Corp? Can Mariposita Corp get $700,000? Who taught you Latin? You speak Latin. Get over here. Bring Juanita Corp. Let's go get you the 700K. Oh, you. And that is how you get money. And that is the truth and nothing but the truth. But let me ask you this. There's an innuendo that's taking place here. There's an incognito. There's a question mark here. And the question mark here is, hey, why is the bank still giving money? I mean, quote unquote, they're losing money, but why are they issuing you more money? So the answer to that question is because for every dollar, where's my money? Well, where's my money at? For every dollar that you ask for, so let's say you ask for $10,000 and the bank sees you're good. The bank is going to say to the feds, hey, feds, I just gave $10,000 to this corporation, this entity. Give me what's mine. And so what the feds do is they print 9 times the amount because they just issued 10. So they're printing the money. In other words, another example is if they give you $1 million, if the bank gives you $1 million, the bank is going to say to the feds, hey, feds, give me 9 times the amount. So they'll give you 9 times the amount. But the only way that works, right, the only way they actually give you the cash, the capital, is you've got to be, Julito Corp has to have 30% of utilization. It's got to do, it's got to have an experienced business with a correct credit score. But in the business world, they don't call it credit score. I'm going to talk to you about the bonds in a minute, but let me talk to you about the score. So in the business world, we don't have credit score of 800 or credit score of 400 or 500 or 700. What we have in the business world, in the corporate world, what they have is something the Americans came up with, said, we're going to name it something else to confuse people more. And so what they did is they call it a paydex score. Say what? I didn't say paynet. Don't get it confused because there's Experian business, right? 5 Business Bureau, Experian, Equifax, Small Business Financial Exchange, paynet, Dun & Bradstreet. Paydex score. That is spelled P-A-Y, P-A-Y-D-N-X. Paydex score. So a paydex score in the business world is the best one is usually an 80. An 80 paydex score in the business, in the corporate world, means kind of like an 800 credit score in the business world. The only way to check, the only way to know what your paydex score is that you have to invest $189.99 on Experian Business. That way you can check all your bureaus and check your paydex score. Wow. I'm going to get to the bonds in a minute. And so now let me give you more value. Let me give you more value for free. Let me give you more value. A paydex score is 80. That's good. That's excellent. But what is super duper excellent? What is like off the hook, Jack? A 91 paydex score, which means 10 more points. That would equal to like a 900 credit score or FICO score, right? That would equal like a 900, a 91. Now, how do you get to a 91 paydex score? The multi-billionaire that I learned this from, he would charge $20,000 an hour to sit down with their corporate with corporate companies via Zoom calls, and would charge $20,000, my multi-billion-dollar mentor, to teach them what I'm about to tell you now for free. So you better take notes, because I didn't come here to play. The way to get a 91 paydex score, I'm going to give you an example for you to understand. Now, the company, the corporation, buys this mouse via credit cards, business credit cards. Corporation buys this mouse. The corporation buys this mouse for a certain amount of money. We'll call it that this mouse cost us $300 because it's an ergonomic, amazing shape, and the company needs it. So it cost us $300 for this mouse. Now, what a regular person would do is, okay, I'll pay the $300 for the mouse, right? And I have 30 days to pay it. So if we bought the mouse, the keyboards, whatever it was that equaled 300, and we bought it July 31st, well, you have 30 days, and now as long as you pay it within 30 days, you should get like an 80 paydex score. But what my mentor, my multi-billion-dollar mentor used to say was, you don't want to take 30 days. You want to be able to pay that. You want to be able to pay that before the bill comes out. In other words, the $300, we want to pay it before the bill comes out. So in other words, if we purchase something July 31st with credit cards that report, obviously they report on Experian Business and Equifax Business, credit cards or business line of credit. If we buy that, we want to pay the bill. We want to pay the bill of $300 before the bill comes out. That means we buy it July 31st and we pay it August 1st. Or we buy it July 31st and we pay it July 31st, a couple of hours later that same day. $20,000 I just told you of how to get a 91 paydex score. So now, in order for this to work, what the whole scenario that I did with you with one corporation, two corporations, Julito, Juanita, and Mariposita Corp, the way for that to work is you've got to have at least an 80 paydex score. Now imagine you getting a 91. What that does is they'll give you more money than what you're asking. And the banks benefit of that because, like I said, well, he's got a 91 paydex score. I'm looking at my paper, but my paper is my watch. Well, he's got a 91 paydex score. He's got 30% of the corporation. The corporation's got certain enough amount of data points. Pretty good, pretty stable. Wants 300,000. Let's give him 400. That's how that works. Now let me tell you about bonds. Let me tell you about what people on the internet don't talk about, which is bonds. Now bonds. Now here we can go off on a tantrum, and I can speak a lot about bonds, but let me just tell you what you need to understand about bonds. A bond is now what is a bond? A bond is a financial instrument. Bills are financial instruments. Bills. A corporation is an excuse. A corporation is an excuse to get money. A corporation is an excuse to get money. It's a financial instrument. A bond is a financial instrument. A bond is a financial instrument. So a bond, you want to have a minimum of a 3-star company, a 3-star bond. And so what that bond is going to do is you're going to activate it, and it's going to tell you, okay, how much of the bond you won, and you're going to say, oh, $1 million. So what that means is that by the end of a certain amount of months or terms, remember I told you they made this more complicated than it needed to be to keep the people down, right? So a bond, when do you want the maturity date to expire? In other words, when is the bond gonna be what we said is gonna be? If it's $1 million or $2 million, they'll give you a certain amount of terms, and you gotta do a monthly payments. It's like a subscription. I don't want to say it's a subscription, but for people that are in kindergarten in finance, we'll call it a subscription. But you're paying every month an amount of money. So for instance, $1 million bond, you're usually gonna pay around about $400 to $600. Then there's other bonds that you pay $1,000 a month, and you're paying them off your credit cards that you got for 0% interest. See? So anyways, so you're getting a bond that's with a company that's a 3-star company, 3-star company minimum. You ask ChatGPT, hey, what are 3-star companies that do this bond thing for corporations? And ChatGPT is gonna say Liberty Mutual and blah 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 and a bunch of them. And you issue that bond and you start making monthly payments, and you wanna, now the moment that you do this and you say, give me, a certain amount of money to the bank, you're only doing it with a 30% utilization that you've kept. You're doing it with the correct data points. You've got a paydex score of 80 and or 91, like we said, and now you've got a bond active for a minimum of 2 months. You don't want to do it right away, right off the gate. Some people even say, there are other stuff. Like some people say, keep the bond open for about 3 to 6 months. Yeah. So, in short words, what the bond is doing is you're approaching the bank and you're saying, I have all the data points. I have an 80 or a 91 paydex score. And now I have a bond from a 3-star company. I got a bond and I've been paying it, and it's active for about 3 to 4 months. You can do it at the second month, but I would say 3 or 4 months would be better. Because if you do it too fast, the bank might say, well, you just started and now you want to do this move, so you're going to make a move, and I'm going to tell you what the move is you're going to make. So hang on. So you just started, now you want to make a move? Wait. So what's the move? I've got the data points. I've got 80 or 91 paydex score. I know my business with Experian Business because I know my paydex score because I pay $108,999 a year. and I know my paydex score is 80 or 91, right? And I have a C corporation, and it's older than 2 years. You don't get it twisted. You're not gonna do this move if you get a 30-day or a 60-day or a 1-year-old corporation. That's important. Age is important. Now you're gonna make the move. My bond has been active. You're talking to the bank. The bank says, "We're listening." And they're rascals because they're rascals because they want to give you money. They want to give you money. They're rascals, but they got to keep their posture. So you got to act like you don't need them. You got to act like you don't need them. That's the system. That's the play. You got to be an actor here. You don't care if the bank don't. Citibank don't want to get. Man, I go to Wells Fargo. Man, Wells Fargo don't want me. I go to Chase. Man, Chase banned me because I sent money to Russia in Russia and Ukraine time. I don't need Chase. I'll go to Navy Fed or I'll go to Capital One. I'll go to Bank of America. So many banks out there, folks. So don't sweat it. Don't stress it. Like we say in New York, don't sweat it, Jack. Anyways, you've got your corporation. You've got all the data points. You've got all that gibberish, and now you say, by the way, since I've been with you guys for about 6 to 8 months, and I have this bond that's active for about 3 or 4 months, I want to ask for this next loan or business line of credit or credit card for the business. But I want my personal guarantee that I have on the corp, I want to get it out. Now, the only way they'll do that is if you have a bond in place. Because what the bond is doing is if anything happens to me as a person, this is almost from my perspective and my opinion. From my perspective and my opinion, I am not a legal financial advisor. It's all from my opinion. If anything happens to the owner of the company, well, if things go south, the bond that's $1 million, that's going to be worth $1 million, that's been active for 3 or 4 months, that's the backup to the company. And that's the game and nothing but the game. And that's the truth and nothing but the truth. And that is how the system works. There are literally people out there, millionaires and billionaires and millionaires and rich people and whatever, however you want to describe them. That is what they do. They buy corporations and they get money. They get out of their personal guarantor, their PG. By now, you've been watching this video, you should know what personal guarantor is. I took my time and I explained it to you for free. I gave this to you for free. And that is one way of doing stuff. I mean, it's kind of one trick, which that's one trick that's not taught on the internet. Did I say something about 100,000 line of credit that's game from Regions Bank or from Citizens Bank? Did I say that's game? Or that was the source? I'm gonna give you some source. This is business. This is business. You're a businesswoman or you are a businessman. This ain't no game here. Ain't no video game. This is business. Let's move on. So credit corp fund. Credit corp fund. So let me do you one last jiffy, how they used to say back in the day in New York City. Hey man, let me get you a jiffy. Let me get you a jiffy. Let me do you a favor. Let me get you a jiffy. Let's talk about why the age of a corporation is important. And let me talk to you about prices. Now, these are prices. I don't sell anything. I'm giving you information for free. So before you say, oh, there it is, he wants to sell something, I'm not selling you anything, Jack. I'm trying to give you some free information, some valuable stuff here for free. So there's such thing as an LLC. LLCs are going to be a limited liability company. You can get them aged as well, but you're going to be limited. You're going to be capped at around, you know, you might be limited around 400,000, 500,000. You know. In other LLCs, you know, you might be limited to 350. You know, you might be stuck around there. But if you don't want to be limited, then you need to invest on a C corporation. Now, the LLCs with the contacts that I got, again, I don't sell them. I just know people that do because I'm a consultant. I'm a business consultant. And so the LLCs of my contacts from California, they'll sell you LLCs anything between $2,000 to $7,000, which will include. Now it's important because it's not just age. You need, now this most people know from the internet. You need an actual vanity number, a phone number, a business phone number, an age domain, a business website, an address, an actual address, not a virtual address or virtual office, but an actual address from a building, right? And there's some times where you don't even need an actual office and you get a virtual office and you still get funded. Like, I'm not gonna say you don't, right? That'd be an ignorant thing to say, right? And then the last thing is business website, phone number, address, business address. You can't do business out your mother's address or your grandfather or your grandmother or your cousin. You don't want to do that. That's like your cousin saying, "Hey, can you let me borrow your phone?" If you don't have an actual 1-800 number, right? And not a voice over IP either. There are some things on the internet that they sell you a voice over IP. Banks don't want that. I mean, you can slip through the cracks, you know, and get. I'm not saying you're gonna be 100% denied, but you can slip through the cracks and get some. But you know, in order to best facilitate, get more capital, you want to do things by the book. Yeah. Your business website needs to be between 40 to 80 clicks. Now, a lot of people say, well, not a lot of people actually, but the people that know about the system, they want at least 40 clicks on your website. So you bought yourself a corporation, a C corp or an LLC, and it has a website, right? But if the website has not been clicked on or reloaded, right, about minimum 40 times, well, Jack, the banks are gonna say, well, this guy wants $90,000 from us. And I'm looking at the website because they'll go on a system called Who Is. Right? Who is, meaning who the heck are you? So who is? So they'll go on that system and they'll look at that website and say, this company wants, or corporation wants money from us. And let's go to Who Is, and they'll check your website. And if they'll check your website, and if your website has no clicks on the website of your business, well, where the heck are they getting their money from? Their website is not being clicked. They're saying that they have a certain amount of stated income, because that's level 1. Stated income and no docs. That's how you get the credit card. That's how you get the credit card for stated income and no docs. You don't need no W-2s, right? 30,000 people charge $30,000 to teach, just to learn about no doc and stated income applications, or what to put in the application. 30 grand just to learn. It's outrageous. Outrageous completely. Because they've got their 300,000 followers from Instagram, and it says CEO, and you believe them. Somebody's got scars. Anyways, so the bank would, well, you know, 40 clicks. Okay, 40, 80 clicks, maybe 50 clicks, reload the page about 40 or 50 times, maybe 70 times. Okay, yeah, this person is definitely making money. Now, you go to somebody that has a website and it's only been clicked 2 times, 3 times, you're not, denied. So you want to get a C corporation because you don't want to be limited. And if you want something small, then you go ahead. You know, I gave you those prices between 2,000 and 7,000 for an LLC. The sweet spot is between 2 years and 7 years, but you don't want to go over 8 or 9 years because corporations are like dog years. All right, corporations are like dog years, which means. Can you believe this clown? This guy says he's been on business for 14 years, meaning that the Age Corporation has been open for 14 years. This guy's been open for 14 years in business and has never had one credit card. Man, get this clown out of here. We're not gonna give our money so you can experiment with our money. So that's what the banks are gonna say if you are over 8 or 9 years old. Okay, all right. So, and again, if you don't want to be limited, you go to C corp. Now, how much is a C corp? Because I told you about prices for an LLC. How much is a C corp? Hey, brother, man, you can find them on Google, and they'll sell you a C corporation for $22,000, for $29,000, because they know that if you know what you're doing, you can get that 20 grand that you just invested on a corporation, you can get 350,000. You can get 500,000. You can get your first 2, 4, 5, 500. You can get your 2, 4, $500,000. Your first 2, 4, $500,000. You can get that of a 20 grand. Not no course that's gonna teach you something about Amazon drop shipping or FBA, $15,000 course. Oh, why don't you invest $15,000 on a financial product, a corporation? Get your credit right, and get some, and go to the banks and say, yes, give me some money. Excuse me, give me some taxes. I'm not giving you no taxes. Well, what's my guarantee that you're gonna get us our money back? I happen to have good credit. I'll be your personal guarantor. And then you play the other technique, which is down the line after 8 or 9 months, and you come and say, yes, you're back. I want $700,000. Really? Well, and yeah, by the way, I got a bond now that's been acting for 3 months. And by the way, I want to remove myself from a personal guarantor, because whatever happens to the company, the bond is taking care of the company. So this next loan or this next credit card or this next business line of credit, you know what? I don't want nothing to do with it. No personal guarantee, bank. Do you understand that? You speak Latin. Where did you learn this from? From Dr. Derek Whitehead? And from Baru McCliff? My name is Baru McCliff. That's it for tonight. It's about 2 in the morning. I've got to do lots of business tomorrow, answer lots of phone calls and Zoom calls, and help a lot of people out. If you need me for anything, this has been... I do thank you for your time, and I thank you for listening. If you have received value in this video, I believe you know what to do, and I hope one day that I can serve you. I hope one day I can serve you if you wanna connect with me in any networking level or business level. Yeah. So my name is Baruch again, and this has been